Yo, growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook. Hey, I get it. You've worked really hard to build up your business and it's doing great. So great that you need help now. The most important thing for your business is to hire the right people to support it. So how can you find amazing candidates quickly? Easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other job sites. Indeed Sponsored Jobs helps you stand out and hire fast. And with Sponsored Jobs, your post jumps to the top of the page for your relevant candidates, so you can reach the people you want faster. And it makes a huge difference. According to Indeed data, Sponsored Jobs posted directly on Indeed have 45% more applicants than non-sponsored jobs. And it's one of the largest databases of job seekers, too, giving business owners access to a wide range of candidates. And one of the things I love most about Indeed is the job alerts feature. I get notified when new candidates apply. There's no need to wait any longer. Speed up your hiring right now with Indeed. And listeners of this show will get $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/smartpassive. Just go to Indeed.com/smartpassive right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/smartpassive. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring Indeed is all you need.
Because if you go through a hotel, like, they've got hotel prices. So
it's like $40, $50 per lunch per person or something like that for just like a sandwich. Like I've seen that a couple times. I'm like, this is crazy.
$72 or something was, I remember that quote very clearly. That was $72 for lunch. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But yeah.
You're listening to Ronsley Vaz, who is the founder of the We Are Podcast Conference, a podcast conference that happens in Australia, and revealing some of the hidden costs that might come with putting on an event like this. Now, I know a lot of people who put on events, and all of them could be well qualified to talk about this topic of, well, how do we put on an event? Big or small? What are the things that are involved? How do you actually get people to come to the event? How do you market it? How do you even know where to start? Well, those are the kinds of things we're going to talk about today. And like I said, I know so many people who would be qualified to come on this show and talk about those kinds of things. From our good friend Chris Ducker to Amy Porterfield to Darren Rouse, Michael Hyatt, the list goes on. Cliff Ravenscraft just put on an amazing show, Michael Stelzner. But I wanted to get Ronsley here because likely a lot of you don't know Ronsley, and Ronsley started from the ground up. He didn't really have a large audience or an audience to begin with, and we talk about the start of how he was able to, and even why he wanted to put a podcast conference together in Australia and how he made it so. So we're going to talk about that today in and amongst a number of other topics related to just everything that's involved with this. It's one of the most rewarding things that you can do, and I'm really excited because I'm putting on my own event shortly, and likely you may have already heard about it. If not, you can actually check it out at flyncon1.com. That's right, a conference that I'm putting together for the SPI community to bring everybody together to spend a lot of that time that I usually spend on other people's presentations on my own conference, to bring everybody in San Diego at a family-friendly event in San Diego in the summer of 2019. You can read more about it at flyncon1.com. But again, I'm learning. I wanted to speak to Ronsley like I've spoken to many of my other colleagues to just learn as much as I could. And I thought that this would be a great conversation to record for all of you who might be at the same position that I am with, okay, well, how do I even get started? What's all involved? What are the costs? Let's talk about it. So before all that, let's hit the music.
Welcome to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, where it's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. His Back to the Future collection is getting a little out of hand. Pat Flynn.
Still using a copy-paste website? Break the template trap with Framer. Whether you're overwhelmed by traditional site builders or frustrated with cookie-cutter designs, Framer gives you the freedom to create a site that's professional, polished, and uniquely yours. Framer is the design-first, no-code website builder that lets anyone ship a production-ready site in minutes. It's free to start, allowing you to browse hundreds of pixel-perfect templates or even design something on your own on a totally blank canvas. Add bold animations like appear effects, text effects, parallax scrolling, scroll animations, looping animations, and much more in seconds. The built-in AI handles the heavy lifting, generating starter layouts, and can even translate your entire site to any language. Ready to build a site that looks hand-coded without hiring a developer? Launch your site for free at framer.com and use code SPI to get your first month of pro on the house. That's framer.com, promo code SPI. Framer.com, promo code SPI. Rules and restrictions may apply. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com.
What's up, everybody? Thank you so much for joining me today in session 342 of the Smart Passive Income Podcast. My name is Pat Flynn, here to help you make more money, save more time, and help more people too. An amazing way to help people is actually in person, by creating your own event. And I've done a lot of smaller events in the past, but like I said, I'm putting on my first large conference later this coming year, and it's going to be fun, flyncon1.com. But I want to learn as much as I can about it. This is what I do. When I want to do something new, something I've never done before, by the way, it's making me super nervous, but that's why I'm doing it. I look for that fear. I look for that nervousness. If I don't feel at all a little nervous about the next big thing that I'm doing, then I'm probably not going big enough. It's probably not going to help me or my business grow or anybody else grow at all. So yes, definitely very nervous, but I think that means there could be some potentially large rewards on the other end of actually putting on this conference. But like I do all the time, every time I'm trying to learn something new, I make it easy for myself by not opening up textbooks or, doing massive web searches and watching a ton of YouTube videos. Yes, I do those things, but the easiest thing, or the easiest route, is to actually go to people who have done what I'm trying to do and ask them questions, pick their brain, understand what they wish they had done differently. And that's what we're talking a lot about today with Ronsley Vaz, again, from We Are Podcast. You can find him at wearepodcast.com, and stick around because this is going to be a good one. Here we go. Ronsley, welcome to the SPI podcast. Thanks for being here, man.
Dude, this has been bucket list stuff for me. It's been 5 years in the making to get here and trying to do a whole bunch of stuff. So I'm super excited to be here.
Dude, I'm excited to have gotten to know you over the last couple of years, especially since having met you in person in San Diego. And then by the time that everybody who's listening is listening to this, I will have just gotten back from your event in Australia called We Are Podcast. And it's a podcasting event in Australia that I've just been looking forward to for such a long time. So at the time that we're recording this, the event hasn't happened. By the time you all listen to it, this is the magic of batch processing and online business stuff. I will have already gotten back. So you've likely already seen, if you've been following me on Instagram, a number of pictures and photos on Twitter and whatnot. And if you haven't, definitely check them out. But man, I'm so stoked to chat with you today because, as many people in the audience know, I'm putting on my own event in July of 2019 in San Diego, and I'll give you more information about that at the end of the chat here. But I'm going to come from a very selfish point of view, and also on behalf of the audience, from those who want to eventually someday put on an event of their own, because you've done it multiple years now, and you've gone through a lot of ups and downs, and I'd love to chat with you about all that so that we can be better equipped for a better experience for our own attendees. So if you don't mind, I'd just love to dive in and kind of just start asking you some questions about all this, because this is really new for me.
I'd love to chat, Pat. I think for me it's been a great 4 years. I think I only remember the good stuff, but I'd love to help in any way I can. I'd love to actually ask a question, if I may.
Yeah.
What got you to this point? I mean, you've been killing it. What got you to this point where you decided that the event, putting on an event, was the way forward? That's
a great question. Like, I forgot for a second whose podcast this was. So, but you're a podcaster, so you naturally go into like question mode. I love that. The reason why, and thank you for setting this up. The reason why I wanted to do my own event is because, it's been 10 years now that I've been doing business, and actually in October when I'm at your event, that will be literally 10 years since I started smartpassiveincome.com, which is pretty cool.
Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
That's cool.
And I've always been very afraid of public speaking, and I've gotten better at it over the years, although it still makes me quite nervous. But I'm always looking to level up the way that I produce things for my audience. And I've been spending a lot of time learning about the art of public speaking and performance and stage work. And I think a lot of people who have seen me in person speak at other people's events have always said that, I'm one of the best speakers, that I put obviously a lot of time into my talks, and, I'm entertaining and whatnot. And I put sometimes hundreds of hours into other people's talks or other people's conferences for my talks. And my team and I were talking, we're like, why not like, especially with the kids getting older and I want to spend more time with them, like traveling is hard and going to conferences, it takes a lot of time. Like next year, why not slow it down a little bit, and why not bring your audience to you? And then you can spend time on your own stuff. And I was like, man, that's such a good idea. I also love the idea of an event to bring my community together, because when I go to other events, it's like there are a lot of fans there, which is great, but I would love a space where it's like you're going to find other people who are like you, because you all listen to the same thing, because you all follow the same person. And I just want to provide that environment for my audience too. And I think there's no better way to teach and leave a long-lasting, memorable impact than in person.
100%. And I think for me it was similar. If I kind of look at We Are Podcast right now, I do not think that we do it. Well, let me be frank. I don't do it for the money at all, like zero. There's no reason. It's the effort that goes into putting on the event. It's not necessarily ROI from a money perspective at all. For me, I know that I'm in business to hang out with cool people doing cool stuff in cool places. So the event is mainly for me to hang out with cool people for those 3 days, and then hang out with the speakers at the speaker retreat for the 4 days following. So it's like my pre-Christmas, and I think that's the primary reason why I put on We Are Podcast, is to hang out with cool people. So I have no doubt you're going to enjoy yourself, man. It's going to be epic.
It's going to be epic, but it's going to be an epic amount of work, I know, which is where I wanted to have you come on and just bring us to back down to earth, because I think a lot of us have these ideas for events, big and small, that we want to put on. But as soon as we start considering like all the parts and pieces that are involved, it gets overwhelming, and a lot of us just stop. I mean, already in the process, I've been like, oh man, like, should we go down this route? Like, should we do it? And I think by this point, I've committed to it. I've announced it. There's a URL for, the ticket sales and whatnot. I'm at that point already where there's no turning back, it seems. But how, like, you say this isn't for the money, it's for the people, which I completely understand, but I would love to start from the beginning. If I were planning an event right from the start, like, what are some of the first things I need to consider just to even wrap my head around all that's involved? Like, what are some of the first steps?
Well, for me, there was going back to 2014 actually, when when I thought of the idea, it happened over breakfast. A mentor of mine said to me, well, there's no one doing podcasting or podcast event in Australia. Why don't you be the first? And my brain did not know how to comprehend that because I did not sleep for the next few days. And I was like, that's such a great idea, but how do I make this happen? I haven't even put on an event for 2 people before, leave alone a conference. So what I did next was I just kind of made a list of the people I knew who had put on events of different kinds. It didn't matter what kind of event they had, whether they put on like a meetup or they put on a large conference, or they put on a small intensive 2-day intensive. It didn't matter what kind of event it was, but I think all of them had it was always a business event sort of person, and I kind of just went and started talking to them. Like I would schedule like an hour to have a conversation with them, either over Skype or in person. And what was fascinating, Pat, every single one of them told me, Ronsley, you're stupid, do not do this.
Why? Why did they say that?
So that was really interesting. So I listened to that and I kind of went, why? What would go wrong? And they told me, they started telling me a whole bunch of different things, which I made a list of. So one of the most important things that I got told was that the budget, so when you budget for an event, it's never going to be that budget. So you always kind of have to have a backup kit. And at the time, for me, that was super important because I was just coming out of, over $500,000 in debt. That's a different story, but we'll leave that out for the time being. But I wasn't cashed up. So that was really important information to have because I obviously hadn't done an event before. So having that spare money in a different account, just in case, like an insurance, in case my budget was all messed up, was really important information. So what I did was I made a list of all the things that they told me that would go wrong, and I de-risked that. So that was one of them. The second one was, the people that you kind of decide to do this thing together with might suddenly not have the enthusiasm you have, and you got to be ready to carry that enthusiasm because no one's going to see it like you see it. Also, very valuable information because when I started off, I had 3-4 people that were like, yeah, let's do it. This is going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome for my business. It's going to be awesome for your business. Everyone was happy. And then 2 months in, one person dropped out. And then 3 months in, another person dropped out. And I'm like, all right, so it's just me then. This is interesting. And I think the other one was to make sure that I had some sort of a plan to create a campaign to sell the tickets, and it was not like, oh, tickets are on sale and deal with that. So I feel like the best thing I did at the time before getting anything else off the ground was having these conversations with people and seeing what they said as to why they didn't think it was a good idea for me to do it. Then I took each of those reasons and I made a plan on how, if things went totally sideways, that I had a backup plan for those backup plans.
Yeah, this is really smart. And this is why, some of us who might be listening right now, you don't have access to people like that. Well, this is why I wanted Ronsley on the show to kind of become that person. Although you can't ask him a question right now while you're listening, hopefully that, through my own experience building this event, FlynnCon 1 in San Diego, that, we're all thinking the same thing. So that's really, I'm super thankful for that info, Ronsley. As far as the budget, the cool thing about an event from my perspective is, hey, if I don't sell any tickets, then I don't have to worry about anything, and if I sell tickets, then now I have the budget. But I'm also learning that, wow, there's some things I have to either pay for or commit to pay for before I even sell the tickets. Can you talk a little bit about that dynamic and how you balance all that and just kind of live with it?
Yeah, 100%. So in the build up, so 2015, October 2015 was the first year we did We Are podcast. And that was probably my biggest year of growth, even though I've had, I was obviously going through a hard time in 2013 and 2014 with a failed business before that. When I got to 2015, the biggest growth was this event. And it wasn't necessarily about the money, because I had the same thoughts that went through my mind. I was like, all right, I sell tickets, I have the budget, and I could go ahead. But what was really driving me mental was that there were friends or, business acquaintances or business partners that lent me the trust of their brand. And they lent me the trust of their brand because I needed it, because I did not have a trusted brand at the time, and it was new, it hadn't been done before. And these people were like kind enough to go, yeah, I mean, I'll support We Are podcast, or we'll partner with you, we'll lend our credibility to you. And I was like, what if I fail and I take all these guys down with me? That was driving me mental. Like, I had like 2 fetal position moments in the build up to We Are podcast, just because I couldn't handle that. I could handle losing money. I could handle all that kind of stuff. I could not handle messing someone's brand up who had spent years and years and tireless amount of effort trying to build that brand. So it's not necessarily about the money, but it is about the money as well, because you still need the money to secure a venue. If you don't have a venue, how are you going to tell whoever you're going to tell, like, here's where we're having it? So even if you put some money aside, you got to start budgeting for the things that you don't necessarily see coming. So in the first year, putting a deposit down on an event space was difficult, because I knew that there was a line in the sand.
Yeah.
And it was like the first payment, and once that payment came out, there was no turning back, even though there was no turning back. It's a really weird thing that your brain goes through. So I think the mental capacity to deal with an event is probably the biggest thing to consider when you're putting on an event, if that makes sense.
Totally. Now, there are ways to run smaller events with less risk and less money needed up front, right? Like, you could have a special deal with a local co-working spot and then sell tickets to, a evening event, right? And to gather people together and perhaps have a little conversation with a smaller group of people, versus what we're talking about here, the much larger events, obviously. So yeah, you can start smaller and kind of grow it bigger out of that. But, especially when you have the idea of like a conference, especially like the first podcasting conference in Australia, I mean, that's not really something you want to go small fry on.
No, and 100%, Pat. I hadn't, and going since that first year, I have not put down payment for a venue until tickets went on sale. But I did not know any better in year one. So you can still make those deals. Like, those deals are really important deals to make. Like, partnerships. In fact, when we started talking before this conversation and I was making a list, the first thing I wrote down was partnerships. I cannot emphasize how important partnerships are from a variety of angles. Like, partnerships allow you to boost your credibility. Partnerships allow you to have better distribution. Partnerships allow you to have a better variety of resources which you probably wouldn't get access to, or you'd have to pay money to get access to. So nowadays, I make my partnerships way before I need it. I think Jordan Harbinger says it really well, like, dig your well before you need the water, or something like that. Mm-hmm. For me, and I'm always looking for a win-win scenario. So if someone's putting on an event for the first time, 100%, there's no need to put a deposit down. Find a way to partner, because every business or every person wants something that you can possibly give them. The problem is that we're so caught up in our selfish world and our selfish bubble that we don't stop to think of what they might actually want and kind of twist our way into their lives by kind of pushing our agenda. And I don't know whether that makes sense, but partnerships are so key. I feel like we don't do them enough. And if someone's putting on an event for the first time, please look at the partnerships that you can create, because those are relationships that you can build for life.
And these are partnerships between you as the event creator and who else? Would this be other companies, or would this be other people or colleagues in the space? Like, who exactly are you talking about?
I'm talking about other companies. So another business is always looking for access to people. They're looking for access. They're looking to be attached with something. So as an example, in year one, I found a whole bunch of speakers that wanted to be part of the first podcasting conference in the Southern Hemisphere. Like, they were like, that was amazing. That was so phenomenal, and that's why it was so hard for me, because I'm like, what if this goes belly up? Because all these great speakers, and I had a great lineup in year one, and touch wood, every year we've had a great lineup. But in year one, to get that kind of lineup with no runs on the board was massive. And I was like, well, if all these speakers are giving me their brand really for no runs on the board, then I need to find a way to show up. Right. So I think it doesn't matter. So who would potentially want exposure? So, catering companies, venue spaces. Then you think about actually what you should think about is, who else in my market does my clients see before they come to see me? So if you're a suit maker and you probably say you make the best suits on the planet, you're not going to go and partner with other suit makers, because you just become part of the same pool. But if you went and partnered with a high-end watchmaker, a high-end pen company, high-end wallet maker, and then you suddenly have a whole suite of people that your client will see before they come and see you. So in the similar light, look at the partnerships from that angle, where who else would benefit from being in the room with these people, because these people would need those kind of people anyway. How about I build my own tribe of partners that I know have the same values as I do, because that's what I stand for. That's my line. I won't cross that line, and these partners won't cross that line either. So I'm doing the best for my people. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I love that. I mean, I hadn't considered that an event is a platform. And when you have a platform with people, or hopefully people that might show up, other companies would want to get in front of that audience as well. Very similar to a podcast, in the way that a podcast is an asset, a platform that you can leverage for certain partnerships and situations like that, which is really smart. So thank you for bringing that up. I hadn't considered that at this point yet. Another important aspect of an event is the obvious experience that your attendees are going to have. At what point in the process do you consider, like, okay, here's what's going to happen on day one, here's what's going to happen on day two? At what point in the process are you already thinking about that? In this phase?
I'm thinking about that from the time I kind of decide that the event is going to happen. So when we announced 2018, we announced it in 2017, and we kind of decided that it was going to be Amplify, Influence, and Impact. The year one was growing an audience, and I knew that the whole theme around the day and a half was going to be around growing an audience. And everything that I had in there was about how, and it was structured in that way on how to grow an audience in these different methods, using a podcast or having a podcast as your platform. And I think that's really relevant what you said, Pat, because everything we're creating should be an asset and shouldn't be seen as a liability. Because, if it's seen as a chore, I got to do this, then it tends to become that in our brain, which it tends to become that in reality too. So a podcast, a blog, an event, they're all assets. And I think what I did was, when I was having these conversations with the speakers, I was kind of going, well, this is how I'd like, these are the topics I'd like to cover. Would you be able to fit whatever it is that you are awesome at in these boundaries? And then we would have a conversation, and almost always, we'd find an angle that they had never spoken about before. So I love having speakers that have never spoken about stuff before, that it's not it's not like they've done this 10, 15, 20 times before and they're going to do it again. I love to use our stage as a testing ground for a new topic, but it all falls within that overarching compass of whatever the theme of the conference is going to be. Because I kept thinking, if a bunch of people come to an event, I don't actually want them to have a bigger to-do list than they started off with. I don't want them to be necessarily confused and not know what to do, or feel like they have all this stuff to do but don't know where to start from by attending the event. So I tried as much as I could to tailor the day in a way that got them to do stuff over the day, so that when they finished, they actually felt like they accomplished something rather than just have a massive to-do list, if that makes sense.
That's cool. Yeah, I like that. It's very attendee-centric first, versus what I know a lot of other conferences do that I speak at. They're just like, yeah, just whatever you want to speak about, like we just want you there. And to me, that's great, because it's easy for me as a speaker to go, oh, okay, well, I'll do the one that I've done all the time that everybody loves, which is great. But for an attendee, it may or may not be the right thing for them. So I love that you have these sort of themes, and that's the way we're definitely approaching FlynnCon 1. Yeah. And having a theme. I mean, the whole theme is press start, so it's going to be about starting something, and
yes.
the mindset and the actual actions that you need to take to do that. And everything is going to be in and around that. Now, the unique thing about my event is there's not going to be very many speakers. It's actually mostly me and some of my family members and some mystery guests that I am actually not going to reveal, and you won't know who they are until you're there, which is really interesting. Which I know some people might be like, well, you're just buying time, Pat. So I don't know. You can think whatever you want of that. But let's say that you want to get speakers. How do you, especially when you were just starting out, like in year one, how are you able to convince speakers to come? Do you pay them? It's a huge ask to go, hey, can you take like 3 or 4 days out of your busy schedule to come to my event, to speak on stage, to spend time away from your family? And especially if you don't have a budget, it's like, and I want you to do this for free. And you had mentioned, yes, exposure, but it's exposure to a brand new event. How do you do that? Like, how's that even possible?
I was pretty lucky, Pat. I had a podcast for, I think, a couple of years before that. So I had interviewed all these amazing people before, so I kind of had a relationship a little bit, at least, with a lot of them.
That's huge. And podcasts can do that.
It's like everything around me, Pat, is because I started a podcast 5 years ago. Everything around me, and I find that not even it's not even I'm not even exaggerating with that statement. Like we know each other because I had I find that such a massive platform, and to be able to converse with someone for an hour or 40 minutes or 45 minutes is such a huge advantage. And I think that's I've been able to create these amazing relationships. And I've been looking at other people, and I see some people do this stuff online where they kind of just ask all the time. They don't build any relationship equity. There's no thought of what would that person want? What can I do for that person? How can I make that person feel special? And I think everyone wants to feel special in one way or the other. We created the speaker retreat from year 2 because it was a way to be able to give the speakers a safe place, even though I know that people will pay a lot of money to be at the speaker retreat. It's like a safe place for the speakers to hang out in each other's company, which with no agenda, so that they can just be themselves and hang out with similar kind of like-minded people. And so in year 1, sorry to go back to your question, I went on this tangent. In year 1, I had some kind of relationship because of my podcast with the speakers. And if I didn't, it was one of the speakers said, "Hey, this is Ronsley. He has gone from $500,000 in debt to debt-free in 2 years and 2 months. I think using a business, and I think that you should talk to him because he's been able to do these amazing things, and I would just get my foot in the door that way."
Yep.
And from that, I would just listen. I would not kind of go, "Hey, I'd like you to speak at my event." I'd be like, Andrew introduced me, and I'm putting on this event, but I would like to know, how are things going? Like, I read up all about you. I've done this research. I liked your last couple of interviews or podcast episodes you put on. How did you do this? And I'm new in this space, and I still do that. Like, I by no means am the guru, because I know that every time I learn a little bit more about podcasting or about events, about business, about entrepreneurship, I realize there's a bigger list of stuff that I don't know. So right from the beginning, I kind of went, I'd love to have this conversation. You've been around for a longer time than I have, and you've done all these cooler things than I have. I'd love to be able to, if you could give me one piece of advice, and I can take that away, that would be massive for me. And it doesn't mean that you speak at the event, but if it means that you speak at the event, that's even better, if that makes sense. So I detached from the outcome, and I was purely there to be present, if that helps.
No, that does. Thank you. What were some things that you, in your second year, were saying to yourself in terms of like, okay, we're not going to do that again like last year? What are some big takeaways from your first year that you then made some changes for year number 2?
Yeah. That bigger wasn't better.
What do you mean by that?
That because every time someone asked me about an event, they didn't want to know what the event was about or who spoke or what kind of topics we covered. They would immediately kind of go, how many people? And how many people equaled a better event or a worse event. So I knew from after year 1 that I wanted to break the idea in general around anywhere that bigger wasn't better. And the more number of people you have doesn't make you more successful. And I think I did that on purpose. So I haven't looked at my podcast stats in, I don't know, I'm pretty sure over a year now. Primarily, and my team does all that kind of stuff, but I don't necessarily want that to determine my success. But I think it's this weird way of thinking, but I just don't want to be in the same bucket. So I decided that I would reduce the numbers and cap them in year 2, and we've done that from year 2, 3, and 4, and just find a way to get better quality people in the room. So that was the big decision in year 2, was not to go, we had 250 people in year 1, let's go for 500 in year 2.
Right.
It was like, I'm capping it at 175 in year 2, and that made a huge difference in terms of the conversations in the room and the impact of the attendees following the event. I know attendees that came to We Are Podcast 2016 that are still really, really good friends. So for me, that was huge, and that was a big decision, which I didn't know which side that would go on. Mm-hmm. The second decision that I made in year 2 and in year 3 was that I would not focus on sponsors at all. Because we did that in year 1, and I was kind of spread between sponsors and attendees, and I felt like I couldn't get either one of those right, and I felt like I needed to get one part right before I went and did the other part.
What do you mean that you were like spread between the two?
Like my attention was spread between the two. My attention was spread between getting money from sponsors versus actually putting on a good event. And I wanted to get putting on a good event first, get that done right before I went and focused on sponsors. And this year we went and focused on sponsors, but 2 and 3 we did not have any sponsors.
Mm-hmm. When you say like we want this event to be good, like can you define that for us? Like what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I really, for me, I want the attendees to kind of feel like this event changed their life. Like I want that to be a pivotal point where when they're telling their story 10 years from now, they kind of go, I went to We Are Podcast 2015 or 2016 or 2017, and I met this person, or I had this conversation, or I had this light bulb moment. And if I wasn't in that room, the next 10 years would have been very different. So for me, I'm always trying to create that environment where someone can be open and vulnerable enough to actually talk about where their obstacles are so that they can actually overcome them. Because a lot of us in business put on this front as to where, what's happening really. And I think just creating that safe space is super important for me.
That's awesome. Sorry, I just have a lot of these questions pop up into my head as we're talking.
That's cool.
Hidden costs. I know that I'm going to be running into some of those as well, and I'd love to hear from you. Like, what were some surprising things, cost-wise and budget-wise, things that weren't planned for that you now know and want to share with all of us so that we don't get caught in the same traps, if any? Yeah.
Year 1, we got a bill of like $5,200 2 months after the event from the AV company, which I did not know existed at the venue places. So the venue said this is all included, and then there was a separate company that did the AV for that venue. And I'm like, I didn't know about this. I did not sign off on any of this stuff. And Pat, that was just a nightmare, because in year 1 we did not make money from the event, and in fact we lost money. And then on top of that, we got this $5,000 bill, and what they did was diabolical in the sense that they started contacting the speakers and saying that, there's this event that you spoke at, and our bill is not being cleared. And I'm like, oh no.
So speakers, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it was, that was just not cool. So I ended up paying the bill.
No, you did?
Yeah, primarily because I didn't want the speakers to be, I didn't want. Yeah, it was just not fair on that to happen, for that to happen. But I now always, when I go to a venue, I kind of go, so is the AV included? Does someone else do your AV? What does that include? And I talk about the AV almost first. Yeah. So that's a hidden cost that I did not see coming.
So that's the AV, the audiovisual crew.
Yeah, the audiovisual. Yeah.
So I guess the big lesson there is when you sign a contract and you make a deal with like a hotel space, like really understand the ins and outs of that. And I know it can be difficult. I mean, I'm already seeing this, like the fine print and all that stuff. It's like, wow, okay. Like I really have to make sure I know what's going on here. And it's a big task. But you had said like the hotel had said that it was covered, but it wasn't. I guess it wasn't in the contract. I mean, to me, it's like the hotel should have paid for that if that's what they said. But I guess you.
Yes. Yeah, but I did not really, what was happening was I think they knew where the weak spot was, which was I did not actually want, other people to be harassed as a result of me putting on this event and then when that started happening, I just gave in. But I would have been stubborn. On most occasions, that would have been me being stubborn and standing my ground. But I just I decided that was just not worth it at the time. But we didn't have that.
Expensive lesson, right?
Yeah, totally expensive lesson. At the time, especially because it was just when Amplify the agency was starting as well. So it was an expensive lesson. I think also finding out about food and catering and how you want to approach that, being totally clear with your attendees what exactly they're getting.
Mm-hmm. Am I safe to assume that food can be very expensive at these places?
100%. Food can be probably the most expensive because they obviously find a way. They can say to you stuff like, "Oh, we'll not charge you room hire, but you buy food for all your attendees, and you think you're getting a great deal." But it's not necessarily a great deal because you're still going to be spending way more money. So actually look at how much they're talking about, how that makes a difference, whether sometimes it's actually worth paying the room hire and finding another way to cover food. Because if you go through a hotel, like, they've got hotel prices. So
it's like $40, $50 per lunch per person or something like that for just like a sandwich. Like I've seen that a couple times. I'm like, this is crazy.
$72 or something was, I remember that quote very clearly. That was $72 for lunch. And I'm like, are you kidding me? But yeah, 100%.
Okay, so food is making sure the contracts, the AV things are good. What about other sort of smaller things that could potentially add up? Like I'm thinking swag and name tags and like what are some of those smaller things that perhaps you've put into your event that maybe are worth the extra cost because they just add to the experience? Let's talk about some of those things that maybe you don't have to spend money on, but you do because it just adds to things.
Yes. So having a media wall or a place like a place that actually helps someone take images which boosts your brand as well as the brand of the event as well as the brand of the speakers is massive. Cool. Yeah, because year one of the best things about We Are Podcast is every year it's trended number one on Twitter for both the main days, which again I have to put it down to having your swag around the place or having signs that people can use. So we just had We Are Podcast signs that were like about not an A3, maybe an A2 size. So 4 times an A4 paper, if that's a better description of how big that is. And just a bunch of those around the place. So people were just holding the signs up and taking pictures and posting them, which was really cool. And then last year we had these We Are Podcast speech bubbles, squeegee bowls, which was also a hit. And then having a media wall and having a place where they could say to the speakers, "Hey, I'd love to get a picture with you at the media wall."
That's cool.
Yeah, those are worth whatever money you spend on them because it gets you this crazy reach.
So branding is important, obviously, and having your brand around and having it be shared, encouraging people to take pictures, those kinds of things. I've also seen a lot of conferences run contests around those things, which they do giveaways, knowing that their brand is getting exposure in that way too. Dude, there's so much we could talk about, obviously, and there's only so much time here on the show. But the one thing I want to finish off with, and this is just at least a great starting point for a lot of people, I think, for things to consider. So again, thank you for coming on and sharing all this. But the final thing is like, okay, you are Ronsley, you want to put on this event. You need to likely have other people helping you run this thing and put it on. Like, who all is involved in making We Are Podcast happen? And you don't have to mention names specifically if you don't want to, but what are their roles, and how much of the work is you? Because I'm also afraid that, like, okay, I'm going to be so concerned about how smooth FlynnCon 1 is run. And that's, but I also have some presentations I need to give and making sure that I deliver on my performances and whatnot. So, like, how does that all get balanced? Who's helping you behind the scenes?
That's a great question, Pat. There have been years where I've been really disappointed with my team, and there have been years that, I had not to do anything. So to put a bit of context around 2015, 2016, and 2017, I would say that it's primarily me putting all the people in the room, or it has been at least, from the speakers to the attendees, and in year one I decided that I was going to MC as well. That was not a good idea. That was just a rubbish idea, and I realized I'm a bad MC. So I think there were some really important people that came along and helped me. One was someone to just have my back in case I went down, because in year one, about 3:00, I just couldn't take it anymore. I was like, I needed to go and have my introvert moment in my room, and I just needed someone to help and take over. So that was year one. Year two, I had Emma Samia, who has been with Amplify ever since, and she's just amazing. So she handled all the logistics, and I had the best year in 2016, where I got to hang out with the speakers, with the attendees, and I actually had a lot of fun. Year three was probably our most successful year in terms of return on investment, in terms of impact that we made towards Free to Shine and all that kind of stuff. And I had a team of 6 people from Amplify, but I felt like I was still the one running around on the day, because the team did not have the eye for the event the way I wanted the event to go down. Saying all that, in 2017, we have Janice, who was my speaker coordinator when I gave my TEDx talk last year, and she ran the whole TEDx event this year. And she's like, I would love to work at Amplify. Do you have an opening? And she's come on board. So she's handling the entire logistics of the event, which is really, really helpful. So having someone to run the logistics and the admin side of things, like having someone to run the speaker contracts and making sure that the speakers are well taken care of is super important. On the day, having volunteers, and you can contact a local university to get students who are going through an event course to help out, and you can get them all for free. So finding those ways to have people around you to do the jobs, but also plan as much as you possibly can, because you should not necessarily be stressing out or doing any work 2 or 3 days before the event. You should just be relaxing, because your brain... No, we've done that from year one, Pat. So it's like and every year I keep adding to that. I kind of go, all right, so last year we did 3 days off. This year is 4 days off, and then we did 5 days off. So this year we're actually going to be off for a whole week before the event. Hopefully, fingers crossed, But just so that you calm down and you can actually enjoy the journey and enjoy what's to come rather than just be running around. So
yeah, I don't want it to be like my wedding. Like, I loved my wedding. I remember bits and pieces of it, but the reason I say that is because there was just so much happening on that day, and so much, like, it just was a blur.
Yeah.
But we had spent a whole year planning it, and all of a sudden it's gone. I'm like, I didn't even get a chance to have dinner because I had to go around all the tables. Anyway, I just don't want it to be something that I want to live in the moment at the event too, and enjoy it. And I know that if I can enjoy it, everybody else there will be enjoying it as well. So, dude, this has been incredibly helpful for me, and I know everybody else listening too. And even if you're not thinking about an event in the near future, perhaps you might come back to this episode in the future, or at least have some thoughts for an event that you might be attending in the future, and can pass on some suggestions to make your experience at that event better in the future. So, dude, thank you so much. And I know that for people listening to this right now, they may have missed me in Australia at We Are Podcast 2018, but there is a way to get and catch the lessons and the talks that were happening there at that time. And I believe there's a virtual ticket that if people wanted to go and check it out, and you can see me on stage and a number of other speakers too in the podcasting space, where might they go to grab that? And I believe you had mentioned there was like some sort of code that people could go to get a little bit of a discount on that if they wanted to check it out.
Yeah. wearepodcast.com/2018 will be the link. I've been listening to SPI for long enough to know that we all love a PAT deal, so we've created a PAT deal only for PAT people. If you put the code in I know PAT, you'll get a 25% discount, as well as all the previous 3 years of recordings from We Are Podcast.
That's awesome. And that includes John Lee Dumas from last year and a number of other people that have been on the show before, Jordan Harbinger. It's great. I'm honored to go and speak later for you. And obviously by the time people listen to this, I will have already done so. And I'm excited to share the event with people in this way. So if you want to check it out, wearepodcast.com/2018. Use the coupon code I know Pat, and you'll get a discount and access to all the event recordings from all the previous years. So thank you for that, Ronsley. And obviously 2019 is coming around the corner. If you want to check out We Are Podcast 2019, just information will be at that link too. So wearepodcast.com/2018. Dude, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you. Super helpful, and good luck with everything.
Thank you, Pat. I'm looking forward to hanging out with you next month or month after.
It'll be fun. All right, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Ronsley. Again, you can find the recordings from the show that just happened in Australia, We Are Podcast 2018. If you go to wearepodcast.com/2018, you can check it out there, and also make sure you use the coupon code, all one word, I know Pat, and that will get you 25% off plus access to all the other recordings from previous years. And so a great opportunity for those of you who couldn't make it but want to get that info. So check that out. wearepodcast.com/2018. Now, that link and all the other links and resources mentioned in this particular episode will be available on the show notes page on the SPI blog. To go there, all you need to do is go to smartpassiveincome.com/session342. One more time, that's smartpassiveincome.com/session342. And thank you again for listening all the way through. I appreciate you so much. If you have a moment, leave a review on iTunes for the Smart Passive Income Podcast. That would be extremely helpful. And make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, because we have a lot of great episodes coming your way, a lot of guests who have never been on the show before, and some who have. Make sure to stick around because it's going to be great. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast at www.smartpassiveincome.com.
Have you dreamt about being your own boss, but still haven't made the first steps to making that dream a reality? Well, I get that. Starting a business can feel super overwhelming with legal forms, paperwork, finances. It's a lot. And that's why I'm excited to tell you about Taylor Brands. Taylor is a complete business builder designed to make launching your business simple and stress-free. You can register your LLC in just minutes, keeping your personal assets and the business assets separate from day one. From there, you get access to everything you need to get off the ground: legal documents, licenses and permits, invoicing and bookkeeping tools, and even a 100-day business coaching program, all designed to help you hit the ground running. You'll also get a free, personalized business plan, branding tools, and so much more. And of course, listeners of this show get an exclusive 35% discount to get started. All you have to do is head to tailorbrands.com/SPI. That's TAILORBRANDS.com/SPI. Stop dreaming, start building with Tailor Brands. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A Score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score app's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.